Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It is the 21st of the month, which we have carved out this time for the Hey Shay, What Do I Say show. And today we have a question, and I brought on some special guests. Yes. For those of you who know me personally, I am a non-parent. And so what does that mean? That means that I have a love for children as an aunt or an aunt to my friends' children. I am not a parent. So I brought in some experts who are parents, and they're also, as long as with me, certified fearless living coaches. Yay! We're all certified fearless living coaches. I'm so excited to have them on. And I'm so excited to just be here with you guys and just enjoy this conversation. So the question was, what do I say to my 14-year-old who won't clean their room? And when I posed this on Facebook yesterday, this is the response that I got. So I'm going to read these off of my phone. So I got someone who said, "Oh, I can't wait to hear this answer. It is definitely an area of advice that is needed." One person said, "I am triggered. Ha ha ha. I currently have a 14-year-old and chores are not a high priority, not lit high on her list of priorities." Another person said, it's their room. If they want to live that way, let them. As long as there is no food, dirty plates, etc., let them be embarrassed when their friends come over. Public areas of the home are very different. The family is sharing that space. Good practice for living with college roommates and such. Fight the war, not the battle. That was the rules of her house growing up. And then we have another person who commented who said, "I wouldn't let them go out with their friends until their room was cleaned up. They got on it pretty fast, maybe not like perfect like I had wished, but better than it was. Then college came and the complaints about how messy their roommates were constant." So I'm going to invite one of our guests on, and I'm going to have them answer what they would do in their situation. And this particular guest I'm really excited about because we'll have to post the picture. She actually had used a rake to clean up her kids' room. So I think that's awesome. So welcome, Denise Duran, to the show. See if you're up here. Here we go. Awesome.
Hello,
Hi, Denise.
hello.
Thanks for being here.
It is an honor and privilege.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
So what do you say to that? What do you say to your 14-year-old who won't clean their room?
I offer that they can. How about would they like to pay the mortgage? That's always an option.
Right?
No, but really, that's actually a joke because it's not their responsibility to pay the mortgage.
What?
I know. I've tried, but they just can't seem to come up with the dough. And I end up spending more, so it doesn't work. But in regard to this question, there is no one, there is no one right answer because the question sort of goes back to the asker, which is, what is important about my 14-year-old cleaning up their room? How is it relevant? And when I start looking at it from the perspective of how to support them in the community of the family, how do we engage in a conversation that makes it important for them?
Right.
So, and how you do it with one kid is completely, or can be a completely different experience as to how you approach it with a different kid as well.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And would you say that, is there something about, because like I said, I'm not a parent. So is it something to do with the parents wanting respect because they've asked? Is it wanting control because they're trying to get them to clean their room? Or is it teaching them something completely different, like responsibility, accountability, or all the above, something else?
Yes, 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 and yes.
Okay.
Because in the beginning, like that picture where my husband took a picture of me where I'm raking my kids' room because it was the last time that I would be asking them to clean up their room.
And how
Such
did
a
that
young
go?
parent then. Well, it felt really good for me. It felt really good for me to get that rake and clean everything up. Even I might even say slightly okay when my kids were,
Oh, wow.
"What's mom doing?"
Now, I have to ask, did you rake
Mhm.
it into a garbage bag and throw it away, or just in a pile into a room? What did you do?
I put it in a bag. I put it in a bag and it went out. And
Wow.
that was because I had asked them in the beginning of the day, if they would clean up their room, and they said yes. So see, here's what happens. It can easily become a cross between control and respect. And then it becomes another issue of control and respect, because now it's what is the control and what does the respect represent? So if they
Mm,
don't listen to me, they're not respecting me.
gotcha.
I could look at it that way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or it could also be a control respect issue in regard to their space. So it becomes a tete-a-tete and a clashing of the wills.
Mm, right. So I'm going to wait till this next question, but I love your advice, and I'm going to I'll come back to you, but I'm going to add another guest on,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we'll be back. So going to hide you for a quick sec, and I will grab the other guest. And so if you're watching this live, I would love to hear how old your kids are, if you want to put that in the comments. So as we're watching this, so we can kind of get a feel also how old your children are, and maybe we can address if there's an age thing. Maybe an age is different. So my next guest, and we'll welcome her on, Miss Alecia. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. And so I know that your son is a little bit younger.
I would say significantly younger. However, when we get to Denise's kid's age or 14, it's going to feel like that.
Right.
Um, when, I don't know. Go ahead, Shay. Were you going to ask a question, dear?
Well, yes, but I was going to say, so what do you say to your child at his age to clean their room? So, and tell me what his age is.
He is 4.
Okay.
My son is 4. And when it comes to his room, that's his space. As long as I don't walk into that room and injure myself,
Gotcha.
stepping on stuff, breaking stuff, I don't care what happens in there. When it comes to the communal areas, which in our communal family rooms, we still have some toys out there for him because he plays,
Right.
and we like him to be able to have that playtime with us in our space. And when it comes to those areas, I actually nipped that in the butt kind of early. I gave him choices because we
Mm,
all have choices,
right.
and I would give him a choice. And it only happened once, but I asked, well, do you want to pick it up or do you want mommy to pick it up? And he told me, you pick it up. And that night, I put him to bed, didn't pick it up until after I put it to bed. I put it to bed and I picked it up and I put it where I thought it should go, which he had no idea where that was. It ended up being in the basement.
Oh.
But the next morning, right. The next morning when he was like, where's my toys? Oh, well, you told mommy to pick it up. So I put it away where I thought it should go.
Right.
And from that point on, when I say, do you want to pick it up or do you want mommy to pick it up? I'll get it. I'll get it.
Mm.
So I empowered him to make a decision and also taught him there's consequences with decisions.
Right. Wow. So is he so we talked about respect or responsibility, accountability. What do you think as far as having a clean room? What does that say about the parent? What are they trying to establish there?
Oh, well, I mean, clearly I don't know about every parent. Every parent has guidelines and rules and ways they like to be perceived and see things and perceive their kids' rooms, right? So as far as that goes, in my house, for me, I can always shut the damn door if I have people come over. Sorry,
Gotcha.
I'm throwing around the damn word, but I can shut the door. I can also say, this is a no-go space. Trust me, you don't want to go in there. I mean, as far as I can see where it can become a respect thing if you've asked multiple times and it doesn't happen. And then you feel a disrespect coming for you. But I would be encouraged to find out why. What about your kids' living space makes you feel disrespected?
Ooh, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. So do you perceive, because you can't obviously it would just be a guess. Do you perceive yourself getting more strict with his room as he gets older? Because right now it sounds like you're kind of like, it's your space, man. You handle it however you want.
Right. That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might one day, I may not. As long as I said, if I don't get injured going in there, because ultimately I do pay, like Denise said, I pay the mortgage.
Right.
So if I don't get injured in my own house, right now I'm okay. I don't know if that'll change as he gets older or if I'll be more strict and give him stronger consequences or guidelines or choices. Yeah, I don't really know.
Gotcha. So have you stepped on Legos?
Oh, freaking Legos. They are torture.
Right?
And he's finally getting into the small Legos that really hurt.
Yeah.
The really painful one. We were in the Duplos for a while, but now we're in
Gotcha.
Legos, the real Legos.
Ooh, the ones with points on them.
Sharp points.
Yes.
They're not just points. They're like draw blood points is what
Right.
they are.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
It's great.
So, and you've only been a parent for 4 years, but do you see the difference?
Only.
Do you see the difference in change stages, how you've changed as a parent in the different stages of his life?
Yes. I mean, he's only 4, right? So
Right.
it's going to be very interesting to see what this ride does. But I mean, when they're younger, you're more lenient. They don't know as much.
Right.
And still it's in giving those consequences that instance I gave you about, do you want mommy to pick it up or do you want to pick it up? That happened at like 2.5.
Wow.
Right. And children will learn. When their toys disappear, children will learn.
Right.
So, I mean, I was more lenient at that stage, and the older he gets, I'm becoming a little more, giving more choices, if you will, to learn. I mean, I want to empower him to make choices.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I want him to do. And still making him suffer the consequences from his choice. The natural consequences, not the ones I make, the natural consequences.
So I love that you started at 2.5, because what you've done is really instilled boundaries with your child at such a young age. So he's going to feel responsible for making those choices all the time.
Absolutely. I actually got the idea from, it's called Parenting with Love and Logic. And I have been trying to adopt it. I listened to it when Chancellor was like 1.5 and been trying to implement it in our everyday lives. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to switch you back around and grab Denise. And so we'll see you here in a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
So we have some interesting takeaways, right? So far, even just starting at such a young age at 2.5, and now she has a 4-year-old. So Denise, how old are your children?
I have a 20-year-old, nearly. I have a 16-year-old, and I have a nearly 15-year-old.
Wow. So did you start at a young age, like instilling those boundaries? Not as a young age, not being a mom as a young age, instilling the boundaries with your children at a young age?
Children are learning from the moment they are born. So whatever it was that I was doing, I was teaching them.
Right.
So when I, in the very beginning, wanted everything to look just perfect, then I cleaned everything up. And on one hand, as my first child got older, she would pick things up as well. Not always, though.
Gotcha.
It was when she wanted to, then she was like, Mommy.
Right. Right.
The second and the third, who are 20 months apart, didn't quite grasp that desire to want to be like Mommy. So,
gotcha.
So I began learning, and Alecia brought up a great book, Love and Logic.
Okay.
Because natural consequences, logical consequences make sense.
Yes.
It takes the emotion out of the parenting and focuses on the lesson.
Right.
And that's where we really have an opportunity to instill in our kids, as well as support our own value system.
Yeah.
In regard to helping them develop their level of responsibility and accountability.
Awesome. So, thank you for sharing that. That makes a lot of sense. So we see Kelly commented and said, gosh, this subject, LOL, what are your thoughts when kids shares room? So you have 3. So, did your kids share rooms at all?
They did. We quickly stopped that. No. No, but the picture of the rake is when two of them were sharing a room. And I actually have a cousin, and their daughters shared a room the entire time growing up. And they literally had to put a partition in between the beds because one child had a personality and a need for structure. The other did not work as well in that environment and didn't value that structure. So instead of trying to make two people not able to be themselves in their space, because their bedroom is their space, whether they're sharing it or not.
Right.
It's creating an opportunity for them to find a solution and then work within that solution.
Interesting. So the question I asked Alecia was about were you at the different stages of their life, at the different ages? Have you seen how you've kind of transitioned at each stage?
Why, yes. Yes, I have. I would also, as I mentioned in the very beginning, I was a stay-at-home mom. And so being a stay-at-home mom, my focus became to be the best employee of my home as I could be. And that included making sure the house was clean, making sure the kids were fed, making sure their rooms were clean, all those shoulds. And then as I began working, I couldn't hold myself to the same standards. That just wasn't possible. And because of the work that I did, I began learning that it's not about being super mom or superwoman or superhuman. It's about understanding what the values and what the priorities are and reframing. And then you throw a little fearless living into the mix and you start really understanding that, this is really this clutter that I see in their room that's making me angry that their room is cluttered has more to do with my issue with clutter.
Right. Kind of like Alecia had talked about earlier, like what is it about the kid's room that you're not liking, right? Yeah. So I love that. So I went a little bit further and dived into this question with the person who asked. And it was a dad, actually. And he said, when she doesn't clean her room, then I get angry and I start yelling at her. So, and then he felt guilty for yelling at her. Yeah. And I know you guys
You're
can't
not
see,
alone,
but
Dad.
Alicia is done nodding her head too off screen, saying yes, yes, she does too. So, what would you say to that? To a parent that's like, how do I get her to listen, not me yell? And then how do I fix the whole situation after they've stopped yelling, or after the parent had stopped yelling?
Great questions. Great questions. And I would also venture to say that I would acknowledge that dad for having a lot of compassion.
Yeah.
For being willing to recognize where his opportunity for growth is.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose I would almost work backwards. And I'd also wonder, was there a time in his life when he got yelled at because he wasn't doing what he was told to do? And how that impacted him.
Yeah.
And what he might have liked instead.
Yeah. That was yeah. I'll tell you what my comment was, but I'm going to bring Alicia back on, so we'll rotate around. Musical video.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so it seems like we are talking about what to say to the 14-year-old, but really it's what does the parent see in themselves. Would you agree, Alicia?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In this instance, I would want to ask the parents how they felt in that moment when they were yelling. And do they think it's normal to yell at their kid?
Right.
Because it is. It's normal.
Yeah.
Let's be real. It's normal to yell at your kids.
Sure.
And is it normal to have that guilt when you're done? And bringing a normal level to it. And then we want to dig into how would you like to handle it in the future? What would you do different given this same instance next time? And how are we going to repair it?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because being a coach, of course, I asked similar questions. One of the questions I asked was, do you remember being 14?
Absolutely.
Right. And did you clean your room every time that your parents asked, or not just clean your room? Did you do something the first time your parents asked? Right. I'm like, I didn't at all.
No, my room, however, was clean. I'm a Virgo. I like structure. I like clean. However, no, I didn't listen to my parents.
Right.
I didn't do what they asked the first time.
I probably didn't do what they asked me the first 20 times.
I probably didn't
I'm just being honest, right?
No, right.
Yeah.
And when I finally did it, I knew it was not their expectations as well, but it was done.
Well, there you go. It's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
Half-assed and done.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think that parents make it a personal agenda when they're asking something like that of their child, to listen to them the first time and do it because they need to respect me? So do you think that they have like, well, it says something about me if they don't do it right away?
Yes. And as Denise was talking in that fearless living space, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean when someone isn't listening to me? How do you feel in that moment when someone doesn't listen? Or you have to ask 20 times. It's being able and getting to a place of compassion for yourself and your child.
Right.
And bringing a level of normalcy to it. I like that you asked, did you do that when you were 14? Did you clean your room? And did he? I'm just out of curiosity.
Not at all.
Oh, of course not. No, because
not at all.
Right, because he was 14.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think for me, because I'm in that right now, I want Chancellor to listen to me. He's 4. He's got distraction level 25 out of 10.
Gotcha.
And when I ask him to do something, I know he's not even on the radar hearing mommy's voice, right? So I'm in it now where I'm like, stop and listen. I'm talking to you. And I do kind of take it personally. And I have to remind myself,
Mm.
he's 4. This is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Calm down, mommy. Go take a breather.
Mm. Mm. So wow. So what do you do? You said take a breather. So what does that mean?
I mean, I just remind myself he's 4 and to take a deep breath. And what I find works best for my son is to get on his level and get face to face with him and say, and maybe touch him, to get his attention.
Uh-huh.
Chancellor. And I stop him and make him look at me. And then he's listening and engaged.
Gotcha.
So,
and does that make you feel more, less about you and just more about the communicating?
yes. It's a communication skill that I had to learn for him.
Mm.
And specifically for him. Am I going to walk around and talk to some stranger that's not listening to me on the street? Excuse me. Right here.
Right here. Look at me.
Can you give me that grocery basket? Yeah, not going to do that.
Not
But
gonna do
I
that.
had to learn it for Chancellor because it's how he and I work together.
Sure. I'm going to switch you back around and bring Denise on so
Okay.
I can.
That's for you, Denise.
You guys are so fun. This is awesome. We're doing such a musical video here.
Back. Okay.
You're back. So, Denise, tell me, do you feel personally, well, like it hurts you when they're not listening to you the umpteenth time?
Hurt me, or do I want to hurt them?
Well, right. You take it personally.
Right. I would have to say I don't ask for the umpteenth time anymore.
Mm.
So I've shifted my behavior.
Right. And what'd you shift it to?
What I can control. I think sometimes what can happen is when we have younger children, we think we can control them. And the reality is we can because we're bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And what that's doing is it's just adding additional layers of fear and reactionary fear responses in our children. It would be great if we got these handbooks before we could get like a video of what life could look like like a Christmas story, right? A Christmas Carol. Like we could see what life is like if we do it this way, or what life will be like if we do it this way.
Uh-huh.
And we don't get there until we have the experience, and we can start having if we're willing to have the courage and be brave enough to say, I didn't really like how that happened. I don't really like how I felt doing that. That's not really what I'm trying to teach my children. So I don't ask umpteenth time that many times anymore. It's if I ask, they don't do it, and there's a consequence to it, they don't get it. One of my daughters just got her driver's license. The requirement is a B average. This has been communicated with her. She doesn't have a B average, then she doesn't get the keys. She doesn't get to drive.
Gotcha. So
that's that whole love and logic thing.
Well, and I think it's great that we kind of shifted it from one subject to another, because it's not always about the one thing. It's not about the cleaning the room. It's about where else, in what other areas of the child's life, or maybe even the parent's life, that they're not connecting, they're not communicating effectively, right? Or maybe it's that they're making that about themselves and taking everything so personally. So as a mom of more children than one, 3, right? Was there...
Not like some of us who have 8.
Right. And
you know who you are.
So my question is, do you think that you've almost had to shift for each kid? Because each kid is different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm an only child.
Okay.
So my parents didn't have to shift, but I will tell you, I did not like it when they called the cat and the dog my siblings. Did not like that at all.
They're your furry siblings.
So anyway, the point being is I didn't grow up seeing how you pivot with each different kid. I got to learn that. So if I behaved one way, I couldn't behave with my middle child the way that I would with my eldest. They're two entirely different types of people. Same thing with the middle and the youngest, or the youngest and the eldest. Now there's commonalities because we're family. I mean, you have brothers, right?
Right.
So there's a thread. However, you're all your own people, and it's just like being in the workforce. You can't if you're managing all of the people the same way, are you going to get the best out of them? Are you going to give them the space to be themselves and shine? That's not the role of the manager, is to just treat everybody the same.
No, however, I find, well, not only in my own life, but I find parents in general seem to kind of fall into that, right? They're like, well, this worked for the oldest, so I'm going to continue it down the line. And that's not always the case. In fact, more often than not, it's never the case.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I have yet another set of cousins that literally my aunt said, well, it didn't work this way for her, so I won't do that for this one. And that would have probably been the best option,
right,
to give to the other sibling.
Right.
It was the right tool. It was just the wrong kid.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
so
it.
it's all individual. It's all individual. And as your kids grow and they have a large, their voice becomes more pronounced, hopefully, then it gives them the opportunity to communicate and to listen. I think that's also one of the benefits of having older children, is as a parent, you have more opportunity to listen.
Right. So, like you said before about how, where else does it show up? So what about lying?
Yeah.
My
favorite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how, as a parent, can you put up a boundary so you're not taking their lying personally? And how do you handle it as far as like consequences or anything else?
That is a great lesson to go through.
Mm-hmm.
It is an excellent lesson to go through. And not to sound like a broken record, it becomes the issue of, well, who are you lying to? And what is the impact of lying? So do you want me to ask you more questions or less questions? Do you want people to trust you more or trust you less? Because that's the impact of the lie.
Got it.
And believe you me, I come from a long line, starting potentially with myself, of fibbers, fibber McGee's. And why do we fib? Why do we lie? It's not because we want to, it's because what seems that what we're lying about, we either want to give a story that's going to give us a better result or not make us feel as bad as we already do.
Right.
So I think that's also where having some compassion comes in.
Yeah. Well, so for me, I was the same way. I mean, I can look back at my life and I'm like, I was making up the stupidest things for no reason. And I'm like, why did I do that? And so as we go, as we have been trained in our fearless living that we've been talking about, it's literally fear. Fear is showing up somehow, or you're trying to connect with another person. And you think that story is going to somehow build that connection and make you like an instant friend all of a sudden.
Oh, I thought I was going to be rock star. I told this one gal, Renee, that I went to Hebrew school on the bus with. I not only could I play a piano, but I could do like the double piano, like from Loverboy or whatever. I have no musical inclinations whatsoever. So I wanted to be seen as a rock star because I had a desire to want to be admired like a rock star.
Oh, okay. Great awareness.
But
Yeah, great awareness.
it totally came back to me. But yeah, I mean, when you think about where it came from, what need was it filling? I
Right.
just wanted to be accepted.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be accepted
Yeah.
and admired.
Yeah, I remember having these earrings, and you hit the nail on the head. On the bus, here I am, we're on the bus. And I had these earrings, and I told my friend my grandma gave them to me, and they were $90. And I was like, 5th grade, maybe. And she's like, $90? Why would they be $90? And I'm like, keep lying. I don't know, keep making up shit. This big cycle of, it keeps growing and growing and growing. But the truth is that I always looked up to her as like having everything expensive and worth more money than what in my head, a lot of money. And so $90 was the first thing that came to my mind. That was a lot of money. And so I was like, oh, maybe she'll like me. Maybe she'll be impressed. Yeah. Thank God we're still friends. But
and that's great. I mean, but coming back to that sense of how it made me feel to say that, and I totally distanced myself then because there's no way I could live up to this.
Right.
So I literally didn't. All I wanted was to be accepted, and then because I couldn't, there's no way to be accepted, I isolated myself, and that's the farthest thing from acceptance.
Right. Definitely.
So you kind of learn those lessons through the process, and at some point you realize that the lie is not worth it.
Right.
And me having that experience, well, then I trust, if I'm going to embrace my higher self, I'm going to trust that my kids will learn that too.
Gotcha. So do you have any advice that you would tell a parent who has a child that lies a lot?
See them as a human being. If they're lying, do they need more shame?
Great question. Great question. I love that. If they are already lying, do you need to shame them more?
Yeah.
Great question. And on that note, I'm going to flip you guys again. So, Alecia.
Great question.
Wasn't that awesome?
Oh,
I love that.
That was wonderful.
As a 4-year-old mom, has he been lying yet in his little life?
Yes.
Wow, really? Amazing. Okay.
It's amazing how early it shows up, and I'm shocked how early it shows up. And it's blatant, like, mommy definitely knows the truth because I saw it. I was right here.
Yeah.
What? Chancellor, what did you do? Nothing. Really? So the Play-Doh's all over the floor on its own? Because mommy doesn't play with Play-Doh and daddy doesn't play with Play-Doh. Nothing.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So clean it up.
So, truth be told, as Denise likes to say, it's really, and how funny we're talking about lying. Truth be told, lying is almost instinctively instilled in us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, oh boy, I had some doozies.
Yeah.
Some doozy lies, didn't I, growing up? And for me, it was because I always lied to cover my ass.
Right.
I always did what I wanted. And when I knew my parents wouldn't approve of what I wanted to do, I lied to cover my butt. Well, you know what happened? I had to lie to cover that lie. And then I had to lie to cover that lie.
Right. And like I said about the earrings, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
$90.
Yeah, exactly. $90 earrings.
And I eventually grew up, right? I grew up and I realized why. Who cares? And my parents told me all the time, you got to earn your trust back. You've lied to us this many times. Now you have to earn your trust back. And to this day, I don't really know how I did it, but somehow I did it.
I was going to ask.
Somehow
How did you do
gotta
that?
earn that trust back, and I'm not really sure. I quit lying. I eventually realized that when they told me, I'd rather you lie, tell me the truth, even though you know it's going to piss me off, than lie to me.
Yeah.
I'd rather be devastated by what you tell me than have you lie to me.
Right. Right.
And when I realized, oh, that makes sense, I quit lying.
Nice. Nice. I don't necessarily think I have a defining moment of when I quit lying. I think it was more of I have nothing to gain from it now. Kind of feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are adults who lie still, and it's, like I said, I think it's just, it's mind blowing. I think it's just instilled in us to cover something up when we don't want to hurt that other person's feelings.
Right. Right.
So it's almost it is counterproductive, but in the person who's lying is trying to protect the other person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when the person who's lied to takes it personally, like, how could they lie to me?
Yeah. And what if you could see it that way? What if they're lying to me to protect me?
Right.
What if you could change that filter you're seeing that lie from? Would that change how you feel about that lie?
If you could say that again.
If you could change your filter and the way you're perceiving that lie. So when your child is lying to you and you take it personally, like, lying to me, their mom? Ugh. What if you could look at it, oh my gosh, he loves me so much. He thinks I can't handle the truth.
Wow.
He doesn't want me hurt. What if?
Wow. Yeah, that'd be a great perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you have any consequences for your 4-year-old when he lies?
Good question. Currently, I don't.
Okay.
It's really a natural consequence, like the Play-Doh instance. Why is it all over the floor? It's your turn to clean that up, buddy. Mommy doesn't play, daddy doesn't play. It didn't get there on its own.
So he has to clean it up, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a natural consequence. Well, it's here for a reason. It's not mommy's, it's not daddy's mess. We clean our messes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Consequences for lying, at maybe a 14-year age, 15, 16, I don't really know. I know my consequences were being grounded. Boy, I got to like my room a whole lot. But it was clean.
Right. Because that was your consequence, right?
Well,
yeah.
No, you're good. You're grounded to your room, but my room was clean because I was a clean freak.
Right.
At a younger age, even.
You can come to my house anytime.
Great. I need to focus on my house. I have a 4-year-old.
Right.
That may not have the same affliction for cleanliness. Yeah. As far as ideas, I don't have ideas because I'm not in it yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would like to ask, what could be a natural consequence for that lie?
Right. So I'm going to flip you back around because Denise asked this question in the chat, and it's a pretty interesting question. I think most of us lie about things more frequently than we realize. It might not be $90 earrings. What about the white lies we say to support or protect ourselves? So give me an example of that.
So little white lies or untruths might be even more applicable.
Okay.
Sure, I can help you with that. In our minds, we know, I'm going to cut into this, but I'll go ahead and sacrifice this because whatever I'll help you with this is going to do for you. And what is it going to do for me? So it might not be I don't know who played with the Play-Doh.
Right.
Albert just walked in my room. Maybe it was Albert the dog.
Right. It could be, it could be, sure,
Right.
I can drive you to the airport. I have nothing to do that day, when really you have a list of things to do that day and don't really want to drive them to the airport.
Right.
But you
Exactly.
say that anyway. Wow.
Exactly.
That's really great.
So, yeah, they might not be bald-faced lies and totally out there. However, there's still untruths that we say in order to protect, support, whatever it is that we think will get us or serve us in some way, shape, or form. That will, again, goes back to acceptance.
Got it. So I'd asked Alecia this question, so I'll ask you, what consequences did you use for lying with your children?
Oh my God. Let's start with the first few years. Yeah, I have used Tabasco. I have used, a little thing of soap in the mouth. I have used.
Oh, wow. So Tabasco in their mouth?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't like shake it in there or anything, but it was like, on the roof of their mouth type of thing.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna freak you with this habit.
Okay.
Right? Because I know how dangerous this habit is, and I know how it's gonna make you feel. So don't even go on that road. And now if I strong arm you into not doing that,
yeah,
then I'm actually protecting you, just like what Alecia was saying.
Yeah.
It's like that whole need of wanting just to protect the people that you love the most.
Right. Right.
And then we realize, well, I did the Tabasco and they still lied. Mm-hmm. Obviously that didn't work. And I'm not going to do that again because it just doesn't feel good for me.
Right.
Going back to, go ahead.
I was going to say, but you have guts to try. Good for you.
Oh, yeah. Guts, panic.
Sure.
Certainly not my highest self.
Yeah.
Certainly not my highest self.
Well, sure. Wasn't your best moment as a mom, but you gave it a shot and said, okay, it doesn't work. We won't do that again. Yeah.
Right. But if you don't have those moments, then you don't understand what you are capable of.
Yes.
And where you can grow. So the consequences, I don't mean, it's not that I'm a super like lackadaisical mom, because I'm not a lackadaisical person. I'm not afraid to have the conversation. I'm not afraid to talk about the possibilities of certain behaviors. And I'm also not afraid for them to experience the results of those behaviors. So a lot of parents, like I said, you don't want them to fail. But one of the worst things I believe I can do for my kids is not let them fail. Because the biggest areas of my own personal growth is when I fell down. And another really great book for raising children is called The Blessing of the Skinned Knee, because it's finding the gratitude or the blessing of the skinned knee, of the hurt, of the abrasion, of what you didn't expect, what you didn't prepare for.
Wow. That sounds so interesting. I'm wondering if, sorry, I have a million things going through my head right now. I'm like, oh, ask her this. And now it's like, boop, gone. So
yay, you too?
Yeah, welcome to my brain. So did you beat yourself up a lot when you're doing the not getting the result that you wanted with the consequence?
Did you want to see the scars on my back? I beat myself up a lot.
Yeah.
I beat myself up a lot, and I would blow it off. My blow off remark would always be, well, it's just another hour on the couch for them. Referring to having to get professional therapy because of the anguish and tyranny that I raised my children in.
Okay.
So I'd make a joke out of it, but it really was a way of beating myself up.
Sure. Do you think that you really had to kind of get vulnerable with them and ask the hard questions of what's motivating you to make you not tell me the truth right now? Is there something that you're afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having those questions. And I'm fortunate that my husband and I are going on 22 or 23 years of marriage. That sounds really bad that I can't remember that, but you hit 20 and you just stop counting, thankfully, but not being thankful. So, and he has his way of parenting and I have my way of parenting, and they're not the same.
Sure.
They are definitely not the same. However, when it comes to the values and the important moments, we come together in order to have a discussion, whether it's a family discussion, if it involves all of us, or if it's a discussion with just that one child, to let them know that whatever it is that they're going through, we've probably gone through it ourselves.
Right.
And they don't have to go through it alone, and they don't have to, while we don't want them to continue with this behavior, we can't control it. And what can we do to support it?
Gotcha.
And it's not like it always works out. I mean, I tell them I'd love for my kids to not have like Cucamonga backpacks with papers flying out of it everywhere. I would love for my kids to have clean rooms. To the dad who wrote this, my kids don't have clean rooms. They're not crazy, but they're better than they were. But I also would take time to go through and clean it with them, not do it myself, but I would do it with them. And just to give them the experience, because that also could support me in terms of knowing that it's not that I'm asking them to do something and expecting that they know how to do it.
Right.
It's going through it with them and saying, okay, well, where do you want to put this? And let's start with this corner and let's go around the room. So I know they have the skill set to be able to do it. Yeah. It's a matter of, at some point, it will become important enough for them. And then they will. And generally that happens to all the parents out there. Maybe you've experienced it yourself, when they have their own house or they have their own space,
right,
or they're sharing a space with somebody that is not a family member.
Right. Well, and I love what you said that you did it with them, because maybe the 14-year-old doesn't want to do it by herself. So if the parent or someone helped and made it fun, it might, and not even make it fun, but just have a shared experience. That's something they're going to remember.
Right. Yeah. Well, and how do you, who teaches you how to clean your room necessarily? And as you get older and you have more stuff, how do you know what you want to get rid of, and how do you know what you don't want to get rid of?
Right.
There's also a somewhat of a discomfort in terms of they're going from being children to becoming adults. And some of those things that are in their room were really important to them as children, like a blanket or a teddy bear or a drawing that they made. And maybe it doesn't necessarily fit, but they don't know what to do with it.
Gotcha.
So I think there's also that evolution as well, as I don't even know where to put this stuff.
Right.
I don't know what my options are.
Well, and I, growing up, shoved everything under my bed. That was where everything fit. Right? Nothing fit anywhere else. I didn't have shelving. I didn't have a closet. It went under the bed. So, kids today with closets, maybe they just don't know how to utilize space. We're thinking that they know what fits in a box or what fits in a space, but
exactly,
maybe they don't know.
Exactly. And to the dad with the 14-year-old who will someday become a 16-year-old and potentially has a car that they're driving, if it's a daughter, I don't know how many women out there, my car was my mobile closet. I don't know if anybody understands that or has gone through that, but I had shoes. I had a whole wardrobe in my car. I had a whole makeup kit in my car. I had all of my books in my car. I had everything in my car, which meant that my car was not very clean. And it wasn't until I got married and had kids that I learned how to have a car that wasn't a crapmobile.
Nice.
So different stages at different times in your lives and what becomes important.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know. It's a little bit of a tangent. However, you know me, it's how I roll.
Awesome. Alicia, were you holding up your hand for another comment? Okay. So, is there anything else that you would say? Because we're getting ready to wrap this up.
I would say that's probably my what I've learned, and that has been supporting me, is it's never personal. It's never personal. Well, maybe once out of 100 it's personal, but that's also them trying to grow,
Yeah.
and assert themselves. If I'm upset, it's my issue, and it's not their responsibility for me to clean up my issue.
It's not their responsibility to fix the parent.
It's not their responsibility to fix me.
Wow.
It's not their,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So
that's awesome.
that's what I would say is, and to give yourself a lot of space, because nobody teaches us how to do this.
Right. Awesome. So, if anybody wants to work with you as a certified fearless living coach, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, they can always post on your Shā Sparks, because you might be the connection. However, you can find me on Facebook, Denise Duran. You can find me on Facebook at Truth Be Told Life Coaching. You can also, I read smoke signals. No, I don't. I'm just kidding. I don't. But
Morse
those are
code.
probably, Morse
Yeah.
code.
Yeah.
But those are the best ways to get a hold of me. Yes.
Okay. So, in the comments on this, would you post that your Facebook page, and then they can click on your name too if they want to connect with you?
I can. And I just want to say thank you so much, Shā, for bringing forth every month relevant topics that we can all grow and learn from. When we have the opportunity to connect as a community, it makes the world a much, much nicer place. And thank you for being your spark of hope and joy.
Well, thank you so much. It was just an idea that popped in my head that I need to have the both of you on at the same time, and how fun we kind of tag team together. And thank you for being on and just being the amazing, incredible, honest you. And it's been a pleasure. So thanks for being here. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Going to switch you back around.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Alicia coming back up. Hello. So, Alicia, is there any last thoughts, advice that you would give to parents out there?
If what we're trying to do as parents is raise good human beings that can be active members in our society, and you're doing the best you can, is it enough? And are you enough? Abso-frickin-lutely.
Yeah.
Abso-frickin-lutely. And if you love that child and you're doing your best, is it enough? Absolutely. I believe that our children pick us for a reason. They have things to learn from us. We have things to teach our children, and they picked us. They picked you. And if you're doing your best, it's enough.
I like that. I like that. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It was such a joy to have you on with Denise, and to just
be here.
Just kind of a tag team fun, because when the three of us
team back again,
because when the three of us get together anyway, it's always such a barrel of laughs, as you guys can see. So how can people get in touch with you?
You know what? You can look at my Facebook page, Alecia Ashcraft. My first name is spelled weird. It's Alecia Ashcraft. You can email me at this one's tricky too. It's aashcraft0910 or make a comment down below, and I'll see it.
Awesome. And actually, if you would, after we get off this, would you put your email, both you and Denise, put your email in the chat so people can connect with you?
Absolutely. And I do want to thank you, Shā. Again, like Denise said, I'm going to repeat it. Thank you for doing these monthlies. I've always enjoyed watching them and being part and even commenting in it. And it's a beautiful thing you're doing.
Well, thank you. And that's one of the many reasons I wanted to have you on, because you've always been such a support to me. And so I wanted to give back to you as well. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Mwah. And that to Denise too. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
So as you can see from this non-parent, it takes a village, one, to raise your children, but because you need to understand that you are enough, that you can have compassion for yourself, that you can still have boundaries for yourself and love your children and screw up. And it's okay. It's okay. You might want to start a therapy fund, but that's okay. We can talk about that another time. But at some point, you're going to screw up. I mean, we're human, right? And to have compassion not only for your child, but also for yourself, to see the innocence in them, to be vulnerable enough every single day to show up and be honest and truthful and think about what they're going through and not make it personal is huge as a parent. And truthfully, that's huge as a person. So I want to thank you for being here today. You can find more information about me on ShāSparks.com. Please like this page. Please share this video. We've had a great time and they gave great information, really great information. And you can also check out my YouTube. It's up, and the replay will not only be on the Facebook page of Shā Sparks, it will also be on the YouTube, and the YouTube is Shā Sparks as well. So next time, I would love to be able to answer your question. So send it to me through Messenger, or you can send it to me through my email at heyshay@shasparks.com. And I will answer your question on, hey, Shā, what do I say? And so just want to say thank you again. And I will see you on March 21st. Oh my gosh, we're almost into March. That's crazy. And same time at 6 Central, 7 Eastern. And have a great month, guys. Be fearless. Thank you.